What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA show. And this video is all about Muhammad Mokaev, legend in the flyweight division, 125. He was undefeated in the UFC, yet got cut after beating Manal Kape in a very anticipated fight. They had a beef. They had a fight in the hotel. I think Muhammad Mokaev cold clocked him at some point, jumped him. It was going back and forth. They couldn't wait to get in there. The fight was, yes, a little lackluster, but it was also strategic. And I think when those fights, when people are so amped up and there's so much negative energy, they really don't want to get embarrassed. And this often happens when there's just not always, but when there's so much anticipation, they hate each other so much, they're going to be careful. That's kind of what happened. That's kind of what played out. After that victory, a lot of people thought maybe Muhammad Mokaev was going to be up next for a title shot or very close, maybe one fight away. He's a young guy, very dominant, very successful. Instead, what happened is he got cut. Now, today he did an interview on the Ariel Helwani show, and Ariel asks him, why do you think that happened? Why do you think that you got cut? And this is Muhammad Mokaev getting that question. So check this out.
Why do you think that happened? Why do you think we've heard Dana White speak about it? And I know you've done a couple of things, but why do you think they didn't resign you? Because historically, they always resign someone with your resume, with your undefeated record, all that stuff.
I really till today I don't understand like a real situation. Like of course there was a beef in the hotel and stuff, but I really don't know. I really don't know. Maybe there's miscommunication between my team and UFC. Maybe there's like people said he was talking to PFL, like which I never did. Maybe somebody did. Whereas in PFL there's no flyweight division, and
I think that rumor that he was trying to negotiate a deal with the PFL, I think that's fake news. Because as he mentioned, people have thrown that theory out there. I don't remember who said it, but again, PFL does not have a flyweight division. Number one. Number two, if this was I'm sure this didn't happen because it doesn't make any sense. He was about to get a title shot. Why would he do that at that point? To what? Try and get a better deal or a better contract with the UFC? I just don't think he would have done that. I think that may be something that the UFC said. I'm going to get to why I think this happened, which I'm really disappointed that this happened, because I want to believe, and I'm sure you guys are the same, that the UFC is the organization that has the best of the best. I want to see the best of the best compete. I don't want to see a flyweight champion in the UFC when there's another guy in another organization that I think could likely beat the UFC champion. That just doesn't sit right with me, regardless of his style. But anyways, we're going to keep playing, and then I'm going to tell you why I think this probably happened. Maybe a confluence of reasons, but I'm going to tell you the main reason.
being 7-0 and having negotiations with another organizations, that must be like stupid thing ever anyone could do. And I believe nobody done that from my team. And another stuff, maybe my style wasn't excited as they wanted to see.
I think this is the issue. And I think the issue is further compounded by the fact that he continues to talk about the fact that his style is why he got cut. And let me tell you why I think this is a big problem. I think it's a big problem that he keeps bringing this up with the UFC. I also think it's a problem for the UFC if they don't re-sign him. So I'm going to address both of those rationales as to why. I think it's a problem for the UFC that he keeps bringing this up, and I wish he wouldn't bring it up, because what this essentially could amount to, or some people could perceive it as, is setting up fights for a particular outcome. Meaning, and it's not saying that they want him to win or lose, but if they want him to win in a particular way, when he has a dominant style and they're asking him to change that style, now they're changing the outcome of the fight to make it more exciting. So this, I feel like, is overstepping the bounds of the promoter of the organization for the fights. They should not be coaching. They should not be directing the fighters to fight or how to fight. And I think this has been brought up by other fighters. I don't think this is the only time this has happened. And I get that they're trying to make a better product, but I wish they wouldn't do that. And I wish that they would just let it be. Let the fights play out as they play out. Sometimes they're going to be amazing. Sometimes they're going to be a little bit more on the boring side. And it is what it is. But at the end of the day, the fans, I think we want to see what the best win, regardless of how they get it done. If the best people have to win in a somewhat boring way, but they do it, they pull it off in that way every time, we got to give them credit. We see that Floyd Mayweather, for example, in boxing was considered to be a boring fighter, but I wanted to see him win without somebody being like, all right, now this time you can't use that style. It's like, dude, that's the style that he's dominant with. It is what it is. So I wish that this would no longer happen. It worries me that he's saying this has happened. Maybe this happened in the past. Maybe it's no longer happening. I don't know. But the reason why I wish Muhammad Mokaev would stop bringing this up is because if this did happen, he keeps bringing it up. It's a problem, I think, for the UFC. It could be a problem for them to get this perception that they're essentially telling fighters how to fight, you know, coaching them and directing the fights in a way. Not saying it's fixing a fight. So I don't want to go to make that strong of a statement, but it's a problem. So anyways, I think this is the real reason. And they have not, even Dana White has responded to this, said, oh yeah, sure, we're telling fighters how to fight. But I think this is the only thing that makes sense. He'll talk about a couple other things, and then I'm going to give my final thoughts and what I hope happens.
Of course, I try my best to improve. Even now I come to Thailand to improve my boxing skills. Of course, they want to see highlights, which highlights brings the money for the company, and it's a business for them. Whoever brings the highlights, it's a business for them. But I'm still young, and I believe I can develop my game to bring the excitement.
So he's trying to amplify his game. He's trying to improve his striking, his kickboxing, so he can have more highlight knockouts. That I respect. I just hope it's not at the direction of these other organizations, the UFC, saying we want you to be a more exciting fighter, so let's get these skill sets. Now, if it's in the pursuit of him just wanting to be a more complete fighter and maybe just have more fun, I think that's great. But anyways, going back to why and Dana White has said that he was difficult to deal with, that he was problematic, he was rude to staff. He has come out and said that that's not true. I don't know. The truth might lie somewhere in the middle. Maybe he has been rude to a couple folks, but he said, man, I'd be such a jerk. I'd be such an idiot to be rude or disrespectful to the people that are making my meals, that are weighing me, that are doing all these things. Because if they wanted to, if they were mad, they could really get me into a lot of problems and a lot of trouble. I think there's some truth to that. I think maybe there's some people in the organization that he might have rubbed the wrong way. I don't know. Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle, but I really think at the heart of this, sadly, it might be what Muhammad Mokaev is alluding to, which is he was cut primarily because his style is not exciting and they didn't want to see him as a champ, that he would be a boring champ, which I disagree with. I think he's exciting. He's young. I think he adds a lot to the flyweight division. And again, if he's not there, it cheapens the brand, in my opinion. And I'm saying this from the perspective of somebody who's highly supportive of the UFC brand. I invest in the UFC brand. I love the UFC. It's the one organization in sports that I watch religiously. And I'd hate to see for them to get this reputation that they're cutting people that are the best just because they're not the most entertaining. And he still is entertaining. I actually like his fights. I don't have a problem with his fighting style. If this is the case, that this is indeed why it was cut. I hope they take this back, and I hope they do bring him back into the UFC, regardless of if he now all of a sudden starts throwing a barrage of strikes or not. If he's the best, if he can beat Pantoja, I want to see if he can do it. I want to see what he's got, and he's young. Can he be dominant in the division like Demetrius Johnson? Let's find out. That's what the UFC is all about. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Do you guys also agree with me? Do you guys want to see Muhammad Mokaev back in the mix in the UFC ASAP? Let me know. And please make sure to click that like button if you did like this video. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.